The most powerful gift given to man by the Creator is not his body, not his talents, not even his soul. It is his mind. The mind is the epicenter of transformation. It is where all change begins, and where all destiny is either built or broken. Before God changes your life, he changes your thoughts. Before you lose your future, you first lose your mind. The greatest battlefield in the universe is not between armies or nations. It is in the mind. That is why the greatest enemy is not the devil, it is not your neighbor, it is not the government. The greatest enemy you will ever face is the enemy within, the thoughts you allow to dwell in your mind. Your mind was designed to be a throne, not a prison. It was created as the seat of authority, where you and your Creator would partner together to establish dominion on earth. But something happened. Over time, the mind that was meant to dominate began to be dominated, the throne became a dungeon, the mind that was supposed to create solutions started harboring confusion, the same mind that was meant to host divine revelation began to accept toxic lies. And now, instead of ruling with clarity, most people wander through life lost in the fog of mental chaos. Every behavior is born in the womb of thought. No one falls by accident. People fall by permission. Long before a man destroys his marriage, he entertains unfaithfulness in his mind. Long before a woman surrenders her self-worth, she begins to question her value in her thoughts. Every great leader rises first in the mind. Every downfall begins in the imagination. This is why you must guard your mind like a fortress. You must treat it as sacred ground. If the enemy can plant a lie in your mind, he doesn't have to chain your hands. Your own thoughts will enslave you. The enemy does not fear your strength. He fears your mind. He fears you waking up to the truth of who you are. He fears you understanding the laws of thought and how heaven works through the mind to accomplish purpose. Because once your mind is renewed, your life cannot be held hostage anymore. A renewed mind is more dangerous than 1,000 soldiers. A transformed mind cannot be bribed, cannot be manipulated, cannot be destroyed. When you win the war in the mind, everything else falls into place. This is why you must stop feeding your mind with garbage. Stop entertaining things that poison your purpose. Stop reading what weakens your faith. Stop watching what corrupts your imagination. Your mind is too valuable to be wasted on foolishness. You become what you meditate on. If you feed your mind fear, you will live in anxiety. If you feed your mind lust, you will live in dissatisfaction. If you feed your mind envy, you will never enjoy your own blessings. But if you feed your mind with truth, with wisdom, with light, you will begin to walk in power. You must understand the divine architecture of the human mind. It is not just a storage space for memories or knowledge. It is a gateway between the visible and invisible. What you imagine with conviction, you begin to manifest with action. Your mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed is planted, whether good or evil, will produce a harvest. So the question is, what seeds have you allowed into your soil? Because if your life looks like a mess, check your thoughts. The fruit in your life reveals the root in your mind. You were never designed to be conformed to the patterns of this world. But many people have allowed society to hijack their thinking. They no longer think from within, they think from without. They are programmed by media, culture, trends, and opinions. They are slaves dressed in modern clothes. They are prisoners who call themselves free. But true freedom is not the absence of chains. It is the presence of truth in the mind. If your thoughts are still held captive by fear, shame, guilt, and doubt, then you are not free. You are simply walking in a well-decorated cage. The only way to unlock that cage is to confront your thoughts. You must interrogate your belief system. Ask yourself, who told me I couldn't succeed? Who told me I wasn't good enough? Who told me I would never be loved? who told me that my past defines me? Was it God? Or was it the echo of trauma, rejection, or fear? You cannot live a victorious life if you are still carrying defeated thoughts. You cannot walk in purpose if your mind is still trapped in pain. It is time to expose every lie that has rooted itself in your consciousness. Tear it out, uproot it, replace it with truth. You don't need a new environment, you need a new mind. You don't need new friends, you need a new mindset. Some people think their problem is external, when in reality it is internal. You can change cities, change jobs, change clothes, but if you do not change your mind, your life will stay the same. Because wherever you go, your thoughts follow you. They are the architects of your future. That is why the Creator gave you the ability to renew your mind. You don't have to remain stuck. You don't have to repeat the cycles of your family. You don't have to settle for less than your purpose. There is something powerful about the mind when it is aligned with heaven. It becomes a channel of divine ideas. It becomes a blueprint for transformation. It becomes a magnet for favor, wisdom, and insight. That is why you must protect it with everything you have. Some people are more protective of their phones than their minds. They update their devices, but never update their thoughts. They guard their money, but not their belief systems. But the greatest asset you have is your mindset. If you lose that, you have lost everything. The mind is so powerful that it can turn a prison into a palace or a palace into a prison. Two people can go through the same storm. One comes out stronger, the other comes out bitter. The difference is not the situation, it is the mindset. Your mind interprets reality. Your thoughts are the lens through which you see the world. If your lens is dirty, your entire view will be distorted. This is why some people cannot see opportunity even when it's right in front of them. Their minds are clouded by fear. Their vision is blocked by old pain. Their potential is buried under false narratives. You must understand this truth. Your future is not in front of you. It is inside you, and the key to unlocking it is your mind. That is where dreams are born. That is where vision takes shape. That is where purpose is unveiled. The richest place in the world is not the oil fields of the Middle East or the diamond mines of Africa. It is the mind of a person who has tapped into divine potential. Because once the mind is awakened, the world cannot stop what is coming. Hell cannot stop it. People cannot stop it. Even your past cannot stop it. Because when your mind is renewed, your destiny is reborn. There is a level of thinking that aligns you with your true identity. It silences the noise of insecurity. It breaks the chains of limitation. It lifts you into a new realm of clarity, confidence, and creativity. That is the realm where you no longer beg for validation, you no longer chase approval, you are no longer intimidated by the opinions of others, you think from a place of wholeness, not from a place of wounds. You make decisions based on purpose, not pressure. You move with conviction, not confusion. That kind of mind is unstoppable, but it is a choice. You must choose every day what kind of thoughts you will entertain. No one else can choose for you, not your parents, not your pastor, not your partner. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. What you allow in will either build you or break you. That is why discipline is not just about actions, it is about thought. Discipline your mind and your life will follow. Train your mind to see possibilities. Condition your mind to reject lies. Shape your mind to align with truth, because as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. You are not the product of your circumstances. You are the product of your thoughts about those circumstances. And if you can begin to think differently, you will begin to live differently. You will walk in rooms with confidence. You will face challenges with resilience. You will carry an atmosphere of authority because your mind is no longer a battlefield. It has become a sanctuary. It is no longer a place of torment. It is a place of revelation. It is no longer controlled by the past. It is now governed by purpose. There is a version of you that the world has not seen yet, a version of you that heaven has ordained, a version of you that can only emerge when your mind is set free. Don't die with that version locked inside. Don't leave this world without becoming who you were born to be. It begins in the mind. Let this be the day that you draw the line. Let this be the moment you say, no more mental slavery, no more negative patterns, no more toxic thoughts. You were born to rule, to create, to lead, and it starts not in your hands, but in your head. Renew your mind, reclaim your thoughts, and you will transform your life. The most dangerous thing in the world is not a man with a weapon, it is a man with a renewed mind. Because a renewed mind cannot be controlled, cannot be bribed, cannot be limited. You can take his money, but you can't take his vision. You can shut the door, but you can't shut his destiny. You can reject him, but you can't erase his purpose. When your mind is aligned with truth, rejection becomes redirection, and opposition becomes opportunity. This is why people with powerful minds are often misunderstood. They don't fit into the boxes society has built. They challenge systems, they shake foundations, they rise when others fall, they build while others break down. You have been gifted with something so sacred, so divine, that all of hell trembles at the thought of you discovering it. Your mind is not just mental, it is spiritual. It is the control center of your life. Your spirit feeds it, your body expresses it, but your destiny is governed by it. This is why the enemy does not have to kill you to stop you. He only needs to deceive you. And deception begins in the mind. A lie believed in the mind is just as powerful as the truth. That's why the most dangerous bondage is mental bondage. You can be living in a free nation and still be enslaved in your thinking. Many people are imprisoned by invisible chains, chains of guilt, chains of shame, chains of failure, chains of fear. But the chains are not around their wrists. They are wrapped around their thoughts. They live in the same neighborhood for 30 years, not because there are no other options, but because they believe they can't do better. They stay in toxic relationships, not because they have no strength, but because they believe they don't deserve more. They bury their dreams, not because they don't have talent, but because they believe their voice doesn't matter. The tragedy is not that they failed. The tragedy is they never tried, and the reason they never tried is because their mind told them it wasn't possible. But hear this: every limitation in your life is first introduced as a thought, and every breakthrough you will ever experience will first be conceived in your mind. This is the womb of all creation. The world you see outside is a reflection of the world you believe inside. If you change the internal blueprint, the external structure has to shift. That's why some people can come from the worst circumstances and rise to greatness, while others can have every advantage and still live beneath their potential. It is not what you have, it is how you think. You must begin to take your thoughts seriously. They are not random, they are not meaningless. Every thought is a seed, and every seed carries potential for harvest. If you think long enough on something, it will manifest. If you meditate on fear, fear will take root. If you meditate on faith, faith will grow strong. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant truth intentionally, weeds of lies will grow automatically. You don't have to try to think negatively, that's natural, but to think with power, purpose, and purity, that requires discipline. This is why the most successful people in history weren't just physically strong, they were mentally unstoppable. They trained their minds like athletes train their bodies. They didn't allow failure to define them. They didn't let the opinions of others derail them. They kept their minds anchored to their vision, and they refused to entertain anything that contradicted it. If you ever want to know the quality of your future, examine the quality of your thoughts, because your mind is a mirror. What you believe is what you see. There is a version of your life that exists right now, but it is waiting on your mind to catch up. The doors are already open, the provision is already made, the opportunity is already prepared, but until your mind is elevated, you will keep walking in circles. The wilderness was not supposed to last 40 years for the children of Israel. It was only supposed to last a few days, but their minds were still enslaved. They left Egypt physically, but Egypt was still living in their thinking. You can change your location and still be locked in limitation. That is why you must break every old mindset. The mindset that says, I'm not good enough. The mindset that says, nothing ever works for me. The mindset that says, people like me don't get ahead. Those are not thoughts. They are prisons. They are spiritual strongholds dressed in the disguise of logic. But truth is not based on your experience. It's based on divine design. You were not created to be average. You were not created to merely survive. You were created to subdue, to govern, to lead, to innovate, to multiply, to reign. But as long as you think small, you will live small. The mind has the power to either magnify problems or magnify possibilities. What you focus on expands. If you focus on the negative will become overwhelming. If you focus on lack, you will never see opportunity. But if you shift your focus to what's possible, what's beautiful, what's promised, your life begins to expand in that direction. That's not fantasy. That's spiritual law. As a man thinks, so is he. Not as a man wishes, not as a man hopes, but as a man thinks. Your dominant thoughts shape your dominant reality. You don't need more time. You need more clarity. You don't need more luck. You need more focus. You don't need more connections. You need a transformation of thought, because the moment your mind shifts, the atmosphere around you will start responding. People will start treating you differently. Resources will start flowing in your direction. Doors will open that were once shut, because you're no longer walking in confusion. You're walking in revelation. The most important work you will ever do is not outside, it's inside. It's not what you build with your hands, but what you build with your thoughts. Every invention, every book, every business, every movement began in the mind. Before the product came the picture, before the structure came the strategy, before the legacy came the lens through which a man or woman viewed their life. Your mind is the birthplace of destiny, and if you don't manage it with wisdom, it will sabotage everything your hands try to build. Stop renting your mind to fear. Stop allowing old voices to occupy new seasons. Stop allowing temporary feelings to dictate permanent decisions. Your mind is too powerful to be governed by emotions. Feelings come and go, but thoughts take root. Learn to think higher than how you feel. Learn to govern your emotions with truth. Feelings make great servants, but terrible masters. If you let your feelings run your life, your future will always be unstable. But if you let truth train your thinking, your future will be secure. You were not given a mind to simply survive. You were given a mind to create. You were called to labor with your Creator, to imagine, to build, to innovate, to express divine wisdom in practical form. That is why you cannot afford to keep thinking like a victim. You cannot afford to keep thinking like a slave. You cannot afford to keep thinking like someone who is trying to survive. No, you are royalty. You are a visionary. You are the manifestation of purpose, and your mind must rise to match that reality. The moment you decide to change your mind, everything begins to shift. That's not magic, it's law. A new mind produces new language. New language produces new habits. New habits produce new character. And new character produces a new life. So don't ask for a new season if you're still thinking with an old mindset. Don't ask for promotion if you're still carrying the thoughts of poverty. Don't ask for love if you're still entertaining self hatred, align your thoughts with your prayers, align your mindset with your vision, you will never rise above the level of your thinking. You may have great ideas, but if your mind is small, those ideas will never live. You may have big dreams, but if your mind is filled with fear, those dreams will stay locked inside. So work on your mind more than you work on your goals. Build your inner world before you try to build your outer world, because everything external is a shadow of the internal, and if the inside is weak, the outside will collapse. You must make a daily commitment to renew your mind, not once a year, not when things go wrong, every single day. Just like you brush your teeth, you must clean your thoughts. Just like you feed your body, you must nourish your mind. Read what inspires you. Speak what empowers you. Listen to what uplifts you. Surround yourself with people who challenge you to think higher, because the quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. And if you want to live at a high level, you must think at a high level. This is your moment to rise. This is your moment to break the cycle. This is your moment to silence the noise and align with truth. No more second guessing yourself. No more entertaining doubt. No more replaying past mistakes. Your mind is not a dumpster for regrets. It is a garden for vision. Treat it with reverence. Steward it with discipline. And use it to birth the future you were created for. You don't need anyone's permission to change your mind. You don't need a sign from the sky. You don't need approval from the crowd. All you need is a decision. One decision to let go of every thought that has held you back. One decision to adopt the mindset of a winner. One decision to believe that what God placed inside of you is greater than the pressure around you. That one decision can alter the entire trajectory of your life. So make it right now. Choose to think differently. Choose to believe differently. Choose to live differently, because once your mind is renewed, your life must follow. And when your life begins to change, others will ask what happened, and you'll simply smile and say, I changed my mind. You see, it was never about your background. It was never about your education. It was never about who liked you or who left you. The battleground has always been the mind. If the enemy can keep your mind low, he doesn't have to touch your circumstances. If he can trap your thoughts, he doesn't have to block your resources. Because your life will never grow beyond the thoughts you consistently think. That's why the enemy is not after your job. He's after your joy. He's not after your house. He's after your hope. Because if your mind breaks, your world will follow. This is why transformation does not begin with action. It begins with awareness. Before you can change what you do, you must confront what you believe. Many people are working hard, but they are working from broken belief systems. They are building businesses, but they are still driven by fear of failure. They are pursuing relationships, but their self-worth is still defined by rejection. They are trying to raise families, but they still carry trauma from childhood. You cannot build greatness on broken ground, and your mind is the soil of your future. Everything you tolerate in your thinking becomes a tenant in your life. If you tolerate anxiety, you will attract chaos. If you tolerate bitterness, you will repel peace. If you tolerate inferiority, you will sabotage opportunities. You don't rise by force. You rise by alignment. And until your thoughts align with the truth of who you were created to be, you will continue to live beneath your potential. You cannot afford to entertain thoughts that contradict your purpose. They may sound humble, they may even feel familiar, but if they don't serve your calling, they must be evicted. Some of you are carrying mental contracts with your past. Agreements you made with failure, agreements you made with trauma, agreements you made with rejection. Somewhere along the way you said, this is just the way I am, or people like me never succeed, or I'll never be good enough. And those agreements became your ceiling. But it's time to break those contracts. You don't owe your past anything. You don't have to keep honoring limitations you never chose consciously, tear up the agreements, rewrite the narrative. You are not your mistakes. You are not your trauma. You are not your failures. You are the seed of divine greatness, but you must choose to think like it. Your mind is a magnet. It will pull into your life the people, places, and opportunities that match your dominant thoughts. That's not motivation, that's manifestation. If you constantly think like a victim, you will attract victimhood. If you constantly think with gratitude and vision, you will attract increase. Life responds to mental atmosphere. This is why two people can be in the same environment and have completely different experiences. It's not the environment, it's the mindset. You don't need a better world. You need better thinking, because when your thoughts change, even the wilderness can look like a garden. Stop waiting for someone to come rescue you from what you were anointed to conquer. You keep waiting for a break, but you don't need a break. You need a breakthrough in your thinking, a breakthrough that says, I will not be defined by my past. A breakthrough that says, I am not what they said I was. A breakthrough that says, my future is greater than my pain. The power to shift is in you, but it starts with your thoughts. Stop looking for external solutions to internal problems. You don't need a new location. You don't need a new partner. You don't need a new job. What you need is a renewed mind, and understand this. Your mind does not renew itself. It must be trained. It must be disciplined. It must be fed daily. You cannot expect freedom with lazy thinking. You cannot expect power with undisciplined thought patterns. Mental strength is built through repetition, just like a muscle. The more you practice thinking truth, the stronger your thoughts become. The more you resist lies, the weaker their grip on you. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your engine. And when it is fueled properly, it will take you places no one thought you could go. You must become the gatekeeper of your mind. Every thought that enters must be interrogated. Ask it, who sent you? What's your assignment? Do you serve my vision or sabotage it? Do you reflect truth or reinforce trauma? Because not every thought belongs in your atmosphere. Some thoughts come dressed in logic but carry poison. Some come wrapped in comfort but lead to destruction. If you do not guard your mind, you will live under siege, not from others, but from your own internal dialogue. The most powerful conversations you will ever have are not with others. They are with yourself. What are you saying to you when nobody's around? What's the soundtrack playing in the background of your decisions? Are you speaking life or rehearsing death? Are you encouraging your purpose or feeding your fears? Because self-talk is not small talk. It is prophecy. It is shaping your tomorrow while you sleep. And if your inner dialogue is toxic, your outer life will mirror it. Silence is not the absence of thoughts. It's the amplification of what you've allowed in. That's why many people can't stand quiet rooms, because when it's silent, the real battle begins. That's when every doubt, every regret, every fear tries to speak the loudest. But that's also your moment of power, because that's when you decide, I will not agree with fear, I will not agree with shame, I will not agree with hopelessness, I choose to believe truth, I choose to rehearse possibility, I choose to speak life even in the dark. You have a mind that was designed to partner with purpose, but it cannot do so if it's constantly flooded with clutter. Mental clutter is costing you clarity. It's stealing your peace. You are overwhelmed not because life is too much, but because your thoughts are too loud. Declutter, unsubscribe from the lies, turn off the noise, delete the narrative that says you'll always be behind. Cut off the voice that keeps rehearsing what went wrong. You cannot receive revelation in a room full of confusion. Clear your mind so vision can breathe, and vision is not a luxury. It is a necessity. A mind without vision is like a ship without a compass. It drifts, it wanders, it repeats cycles. But when your mind is anchored to vision, even the winds of adversity cannot blow you off course. Storms may come, people may walk away, plans may shift, but your mind stays locked on the horizon. Because vision is the anchor of the renewed mind, it gives direction when emotions waver, it gives discipline when distractions arise, it gives hope when the road gets long. You will never outgrow the responsibility of protecting your mindset. As you elevate, so will the attack. As you rise, so will the pressure. But if your mind is fortified, nothing can take you out, not betrayal, not disappointment, not delay, not even failure, because a renewed mind knows how to reframe pain as preparation. It doesn't see closed doors as rejection. It sees them as redirection. It doesn't view loss as the end, it views it as the beginning of a new strategy. This is the power of a transformed mind. It interprets reality through purpose, not pain. The most powerful people you will ever meet are not always the loudest. They are not always the most visible, but you can always tell who has a renewed mind. They move with peace in chaos. They lead with confidence in crisis. They speak with clarity when everyone else is confused. They are not easily offended. They are not easily shaken, because they have done the inner work. They have mastered their mental landscape. They have silenced the noise so they can hear the whisper of destiny. And this is your call to do the same. Your next level is not waiting on luck. It's waiting on alignment. Align your thoughts with who you truly are, not who the world said you were, not who your past tried to make you, not who fear trained you to be, but who you were divinely designed to be. And that version of you doesn't think like a slave. It doesn't think like a victim. It doesn't think like an orphan. It thinks like royalty. It thinks like a son. It thinks like a builder, a leader, a creator, a visionary. You will never see the fullness of your purpose until you think in agreement with it. Your mind must come into covenant with your calling. You cannot be a builder with a broken mindset. You cannot be a leader with a limited mindset. You cannot be a visionary with a victimized mindset. This is your moment to break every limitation, to destroy every lie, to rewire every thought that does not serve your destiny, not with willpower, not with motivation, but with truth. Because the truth is, your mind was never designed to be a battlefield. It was designed to be a throne, a place where divine wisdom rules, a place where peace reigns, a place where vision is birthed. So clear the chaos, evict the lies, silence the doubt, and build your mind into the palace it was always meant to be. Because once your mind is right, your life will follow, and when your life shifts, it won't be a mystery. People will ask what happened. They'll wonder how you broke through, how you kept going, how you stayed calm, how you got up after everything fell apart. And your answer will be simple. I changed my thoughts. I renewed my mind. I silenced the old stories and started living by truth. And once my mind changed, everything else had no choice but to change with it. So now the decision is yours. You can leave your mind where life left it, scattered, anxious, cluttered with doubt, or you can rise up and take dominion over the one place God gave you full control of, your thoughts. Because until your mind is free, nothing around you will ever truly be free. You will keep repeating the same cycles. You will keep attracting the same pain. You will keep running in circles, mistaking movement for progress. But the moment you shift your mindset, you shift your life. This is not a game. Your thoughts are not harmless. They are the architects of your reality. And every day you allow old lies to linger, you delay the life that's waiting on the other side of truth. You cannot afford to think like a prisoner when you were born to be free. You cannot afford to think like a victim when you were born to reign. You cannot afford to keep your mind in Egypt when your destiny is in Canaan. It's time to cross over. It's time to take every thought captive and make it bow to your purpose. You are not crazy, you are in combat, you are not weak, you are being called higher, you are not stuck, you are being stretched. Your warfare is not proof of failure, it's confirmation of value. The enemy would not attack a mind that wasn't dangerous. But you must understand this. Hell's greatest fear is not your bank account, your connections, or your charisma. It is your renewed mind. Because once you start thinking with vision, with clarity, with divine alignment, nothing can stop you. Not the past, not the pain, not even the people who walked away. So today, declare war on every lie that's lived rent, free in your mind. Confront every story that told you you're not enough. Tear down every thought that told you it's too late. Expose every belief that said you'd never make it, and replace it with truth, replace it with light, replace it with vision. Feed your mind with what builds, not what breaks. Train your thoughts to see beyond the storm. Discipline your mind to stay rooted when everything around you shakes. And watch how your world starts to shift. Because when the mind is healed, the soul finds rest. When the mind is whole, your path becomes clear. When the mind is renewed, you start to speak different, walk different, believe different, build different. You stop apologizing for dreaming big. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms you were meant to renovate. You stop tolerating confusion because you carry clarity, and that clarity begins to flow into everything you touch. This is not the season to coast through life with a clouded mind. This is the season to think with purpose, to speak with power, to act with intention. Because there are people attached to your mental freedom. There are doors that will open when your thinking changes. There are nations inside you waiting for you to break the limits off your mind. You are not just fighting for your peace. You are fighting for your legacy. So rise up. Decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer be a slave to old thoughts. You will no longer be bound by mental chains that were never yours to carry. You will no longer repeat what broke you. This is your new beginning, a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing, a new way of living. You are not the person you used to be. You are not the thoughts you used to think. You are not the lies they told you. You are powerful, you are purposeful, you are renewed, and when the mind is renewed, everything changes. Welcome to your new mindset. Welcome to your real life.